Hello, folks. I hope you are learning at least small things daily related to AI and upgrading yourself and getting ready to just fight for your careers in the market. Okay, so just last time we built an AI that can answer questions using your own documents. Today, I want to explain the one thing that decides whether that AI gives you a great answer or a confusing, wrongish answer. It's called chunking, and I promise it's way simpler than it sounds. So, the plan for today is I'm gonna show you why this matters, then, three simple ways to do it, one small trick almost everyone forgets. And then I will actually show you the difference with a real example. Same questions, two different results. Why chunking matters? Here is the problem. Imagine you hire someone to answer questions using a giant instruction manual. But instead of giving them the whole manual, you rip it into random pieces. Some pieces cut off mid sentence and hand them a random pile. Now someone asks, what's the dosage for this medicine? If the piece of paper they are holding has the drug name, but the dosage got ripped onto a different piece, so what will happen? They will either guess or give you half the answer. And here is the scary part, that will still sound completely confident when they answer. That's exactly what happens when an AI documents are chunked badly. It doesn't say I'm not sure. It just answers wrong confidently. Now, the three ways to split your documents is how do you cut up that manual smartly? There are basically three ways to do it. And I think to think of them as tools in a toolbox. Fixed size is like using a paper cutter that slices every 10 centimeters, no matter what's written there. Fast but dumb. It doesn't care if it's cutting through a sentence. Recursive. Recursive is like a person with scissor who at least tries to cut along the paragraph breaks first, then sentence breaks. Only cutting mid sentence if they really have to. Much more sensible. Now, semantic. Semantic is like really thoughtful editor who reads the whole thing and cuts exactly where the topic changes. Like separating ingredients from instruction in a recipe. Even if that's not a neat paragraph break. Chainsaw, bread, knife, scalpel. You don't always need the scalpel, but it's good to know it exists. Fixed size chunking. This is the set it and forget it option. You just say cut every 800 words or so, and it does exactly that. Everywhere, no thinking involved. Now, the real life version is imagine photocopying a book and just stapling every 5 pages together into a little booklet. regardless of the whether that staple lands in the middle of a sentence or a chapter title. Fast to do, sometimes awkward to read. Recursive chunking, that's one smarter. Instead of blindly cutting every X words, it looks for natural breaks first, like paragraph breaks, and only cuts in a weird spot if there is truly no better option nearby. Now, a real life version is this is like tearing a newspaper along the actual column lines instead of just ripping straight across the page. You just get separate piece, but each piece actually makes sense on its own. This is what most real products use by default for a good reason. It is the sensible general purpose choice. Now, semantic chunking. This is the most thoughtful and most expensive option. Instead of looking at paragraph breaks, it actually tries to understand the meaning and cuts exactly where the topic shifts, even mid paragraph. Like a real life version, imagine a lawyer highlighting a contract and saying the whole section is about payment terms. The next part is a totally different topic, liability. So I'm gonna separate these two, even though they are technically in the same paragraph. That's why serious legal or medical AI tools lean towards this option. A wrong cut in the contract isn't just annoying, it can actually cause real problem. Now, why overlap matters? Here is one trick almost nobody thinks about: overlap. This just means each piece shares a little bit of text with the piece next to it, like a small repeated sentence or at the start and end. Now, real life version is imagine two people summarizing a movie, and the first person summary ends right as the villain is revealed, and the second person summary starts right after. If you only read one summary, you would miss the actual reveal. But if each summary repeats just the last important sentence from before it, you are covered no matter which piece you land on. That's overlap. Cheap insurance against losing an idea that landed right on a cut. What size should your chunks be? There is no single correct size. It depends on what you are cutting up. A quick FAQ answer is naturally short, so small pieces are fine. A legal contract clause needs way more surrounding text to make sense. So you would want bigger piece. In real life example, suppose you wouldn't pack a single sock and an entire dining table into moving boxes the same size. Small stuff gets small boxes, big awkward stuff gets bigger boxes. Same idea here. Match the size to what you are actually organizing. Now, just we are putting it together and we are trying to implement it. What we do, how to implement this. So, here we are discussing that. For anyone coding along, this is genuinely just changing a couple of numbers in a same line of code from the last video. You're not rebuilding anything. You're just being intentional about the settings you are previously leaving on default. So just we are in one or two lines, we are just changing the some settings and we are good to go. We are not changing any of the code, not building any of our class. Just doing a smaller change. Now the fun part is what if you wanted to see you can load the same document twice. Once cut into tiny careless pieces, once cut sensibly, and asked both versions the exact same questions. What's our refund policy for big customers versus regular customers? What what happens? The careless version only answers the half question and still sounds totally sure of itself. The sensible version gives you the full correct comparison because the important paragraph didn't get torn apart before the AI ever saw it. Now, the common mistakes what we do, just a quick list of trap people fall into. Using the exact same cutting size for every single type of document. Skipping the overlap trick completely. Accidentally cutting straight through a table or a block of code. Changing the setting and never actually retesting anything. And the bigger one is never actually looking at a few of the pieces you created. The last one is so simple it sounds silly, but it's genuinely the fastest way to catch a problem. Just open a few random pieces and read them like a human would. Now, key takeaways, if you remember nothing else, bad cutting creates confident sounding wrong answers, not obvious errors. The sensible scissor method, that is, we calling it recursive, is a safe default for almost anything. Always leave a little overlap as cheap insurance. Match your piece size to the type of document. And every once in a while, actually read a few of the pieces you made. That's a chunking. Probably the single most underrated setting in an AI system like this. If this made something click for you, let me know in the comment section. Or if you have any sort of doubts or any confusion, you can just write it in our comments below and I will address it and explain you in the next video. So see you in the next video where we will figure out how to exactly test whether your AI's answers are good, not just confident. Yeah. Goodbye for now.